Peace, blessing, and love, everyone. It's your girl, Zia the Begum, back again with another episode. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think is so important, especially for my Muslim community. Legal marriage versus spiritual marriage. Now, I'm team both. I believe in the Nikah, or spiritual contract before Allah, but I also believe that legal marriage matters. And I want to break down the pros, the cons, and why combining the two is the best way to protect yourself and your future. Let's start with definitions. Spiritual marriage, or nikah, this is our Islamic contract. It fulfills the religious duty, makes the relationship halal, and carries spiritual blessings. Legal marriage, this is recognized by the state. It comes with rights, responsibilities, and protections under the law. The nikah makes your union valid in the sight of Allah. But in most countries, if you don't register it legally, the government doesn't recognize it, which leaves you unprotected in a lot of situations. Benefits of a legal marriage. Number 1, legal protections such as property rights, inheritance, healthcare decisions, child custody. Financial security is number 2, which is access to spousal benefits, insurance, taxes, retirement accounts. Number 3, accountability. Prevents one spouse from easily walking away without legal consequences. Number 4, protection for women. Especially ensures financial and custodial rights in case of divorce or widowhood. Now, the pros and cons. So the pros of just only having the nikah without the state license. The pros are, of course, fulfilling Islamic duty, avoids zina, private and simple. Well, it should be, but some people, they like to have fancy, big, extravagant weddings. Hey, nothing wrong with that. If you have the money for that, do you, boo. Cons: no legal protection in divorce or death. No spousal rights such as inheritance, hospital decision, or custody. Also vulnerable to abuse, men leaving without responsibility. Now, pros of only legal marriage. No nikah, which actually wouldn't be acceptable in Islam, technically. But pros: full legal recognition and protection, straightforward and secular system. And again, a con would be Islamically incomplete. It's not recognized as a valid marriage, missing the spiritual blessings of a nikah. Why both matter? When you combine the two, the nikah and legal marriage, you cover both sides. You're fulfilling your religious duty before Allah. You're protecting yourself legally in society. It's not about mistrust. It's about wisdom. Love is beautiful, but love don't pay the bills. Settle custody battles or secure inheritance. That's where the law comes in. And Islam teaches us to use resources around us to protect justice. Hot take, this is about to be very controversial, so grab some popcorn, some juice, because this might be a little bit long-winded. But I feel like a lot of reason some men don't want a legal marriage is because they're trying to avoid financial responsibility in a case of a divorce. But see, honey, you might meet a sister like me who wants a prenup, maybe even a post-nup as well. And when I say that, they get real quiet. And don't hit me with prenups don't hold up in court. Because, baby, you don't have the kind of lawyers that I do. I promise you, my prenups will be airtight, ironclad. You're not getting a cent from the Begum. Try someone else. Also, tidbit, I forgot to add. And in case of a divorce, I wouldn't want to suck my partner for blood or take something that wasn't mine, that it was his, that he built on his own before me. Again, I'm a person, if I say something, I want something for myself, it's because I set that standard, and my future partner, they should want the same. I would be so happy if he told me he also wants a prenup. I will gladly sign those papers. Now, back to the episode. And honestly, why would I want to do business with someone who doesn't even want to legally marry me? Because a lot of times, what I feel like in the Muslim community, I'm seeing a lot of couples go into business. Nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. MashaAllah. But why would I do that? Get into business with someone who doesn't even want to legally marry me. That's leaving me in a vulnerable and frankly stupid position. Now, of course, if I decide to build something jointly with my husband, yes, that should be split evenly. That's fair. But the things that I have built on my own, or even, family inheritance, honey, that's not up for grabs. You're out your daggone mind. Because let's be real, women and men, both there are people who try to play those games. And I've heard way too many stories about women not receiving their mehr after divorce, or brothers cheating sisters out of their inheritance. See, astaghfirullah, Islam goes out the window when people do stuff like that. And people want to be hell-bent on legal marriages and why it's so against Islam and blase blase. Allah gives us the wisdom for a reason. He doesn't want us to be naive. And I'm not trying to offend anyone who just only has a spiritual marriage, because I do understand why some people have spiritual marriages, especially when it comes to like multiple wives, because in the US, obviously legally you can't marry multiple women, but I know there are stories where people are just fine doing the spiritual marriage because they have already been divorced and have children, and their life is practically set up, or they don't live together. And so it's just already, life is kind of like separate. And in that instance, I can totally understand why that's more favorable. But in a situation like if you haven't been married before, or you're married, divorced with no kids, and getting married and hoping to have children, I believe it's imperative to be both legally and spiritually married. So even though I can laugh about it, I'm dead serious too. Legal marriages protects both partners, and anyone scared of protection, I feel like maybe it may be projection insecurities, fears, or maybe even some skeletons in the closet. Because that's all, again, another scenario. Someone got legally married but didn't even know they had a wife and kids somewhere else in a different state. Also, I want to point out something a lot of people don't realize, especially sisters and brothers that only do a spiritual marriage. By law, the mother automatically has legal and physical custody of the child. Unless there's a court order that says otherwise, that means she has the right to make major decisions about the child's education, healthcare, and religious upbringing. She also decides where the child lives and who they spend time with. Now, the father's parental rights can be fully established through acknowledging paternity in court. And here's where it gets a little tricky, because a lot of men think just by signing the birth certificate and taking a DNA test is enough. But in many states, it's not. If you're not legally married, the father has to go through the court to be recognized and to get custody or visitation rights. Signing the birth certificate as an unmarried father does not automatically grant you legal or physical custody of the child. It established legal parentage and responsibilities. Now, there is a form typically used, which is, I believe, called recognition of parentage or voluntary acknowledgement of paternity rights. It's a legal form for unmarried parents to sign, establish the child's biological father to give a man legal paternity. So that means if you're only spiritually married, sisters, technically, you could pack up the kids, move to another state or even another country, and the father couldn't do much about it. And I'm not saying this is something I do or something I condone, because I don't. But that's the legal reality. Without that marriage certificate and court recognition, fathers are left vulnerable. On the flip side, when you're legally married, the father automatically has rights if divorce happens. That's legal protection right there. And honestly, we have to ask ourselves, yes, there are things like wills, power of attorney, property deeds, all that paperwork that can give you those rights if you choose to go the spiritual marriage route. But how many people actually go through the process? Not enough. And that's why so many women and men end up in vulnerable positions after only a spiritual marriage. Love is beautiful. Nikah is sacred, but the law is what protects you when things get messy. To me, personally, now, some may disagree. But if someone hesitates or flat out refuses the legal side, again, for me, that's a red flag. So my advice, as your big sis, don't settle for one or the other. Do the nikah, fulfill your deen, but also sign those papers and protect yourself legally. Don't let anyone play you for a sucker, okay? That's to both my brothers and sisters. Because love without protection can quickly turn into heartbreak with no safety net. Marriage is both love and responsibility. And if you can't tell already, but if you want to marry the Begum, you got to get legally married. It's your girl, Zia the Begum, and the mic is on.
Zia the Begum, here to stay. In her softness, she paves the way.